Today should be a pretty nice day out. Oh, bless you. So we're going to work with Miss Murph here with her hopefully social skills and her walking behaviors at the same time. I've got her on a little bit of a shorter leash to help with controlling. And we'll start doing some more micro adjustments during her walk. But it's mostly just so that way she can't build as much momentum going forward. And if I needed to turn her, it's a little bit easier to pivot around. Good girl, right? Just because the goal will be to see if, good girl. We sliced up her cheese, really, really thin chips this time to help kind of have more for a longer session. I'm gonna try avoiding her, giving her too much here. Okay, so here she is starting to pull forward a little bit, so we're going to adjust her back. We got some kids over there, so we'll see how she does. We don't want her to bark at or scare the little one, so we'll go around this way. And the goal is going to be whenever she starts to overreact, we're going to try to redirect her back to us and then reward her for refocusing. You can see here her hackles are starting to come up. She's starting to pull a little bit more from excitement. She's just kind of following her nose. Easy. So if she continues to pull too much, we'll have to take a little bit of a break here to kind of help redirect. So here she is. Yes, good girl. So as soon as she starts to overreact, starts barking at somebody, I want to try to get her attention back on me. Good girl. And then reward appropriately. Good. Good girl. All right. Okay. And of course, having her on a shorter leash also means having less leeway before she starts pulling. Good girl. Having to correct that a little bit more. A lot of kids at the bus stop and such. She seems to be more interested in following her nose. No? So when she starts hard pulling like that because of her nose, we're going to pull her back in. Okay. Make sure at least it's nice and loose, and then we'll start walking again. Murph. She's really on whatever scent it is. And so even with a compression harness like this one, right, we're pulling her body up and back. Might need to switch over to the slip lead to pull the front part of her, her up off the ground to help her with refocusing, right? Because here we give those slight corrections and it's just not enough. She goes right back into smelling things and pulling, right? So here we're gonna go ahead and add in some guidance too. I'm gonna start changing directions every time that she pulls. Making her try to refocus on me. This is where you can see that that nose is going to be the hardest thing for her to overcome right now. So we're not even going to be able to do any kind of social testing here with her just on her nose, and we're not going to be able to work on any leash behavior because it's not, the corrections aren't making as much of an impact anymore or at all. So what we're going to try to do is we'll go back, look at the slip lead. We're going to try to put that around to kind of hold her head up to help get her attention and do turns that way. Okay. Murph. Yes, good girl. Because when her nose isn't hard on the ground, it's easy to get her to refocus and her attention again. But we want to start practicing, especially for today, to be able to redirect her at whim. So it's going to be really important that she's not able to just continuously focus on the people or the pups that she's barking at. So seeing as how she's pretty easily able to ignore the leash pressure from the harness here, we're going to try something else, and we're going to practice that for a little bit before moving on. Else we'll be spending the the whole day doing circles without getting much progress in. So here, trying to keep her just on the left side. She keeps trying to duck around to the right, and I just pull out and towards the left. And it'll be the same when we have the slip lead on. We'll want her to be in a pretty close heel, and then we'll also give her breaks. She's allowed to kind of freely use her nose and smell, and then we'll see how easy it'll be to get her to refocus back onto us. We'll go ahead and pause this here and switch out a quick. So when working with a slip lead, it's going to be very important that you adjust it properly to each pup, so that way it's not just choking her, right? So here we have two mechanisms. One's going to be to stop the leash from getting too loose and just slipping off of her head, and then one, when pulled, will keep it from getting too tight and choking her, right? So what we need to do is adjust this one out a little bit, so that way it's still loose, and then this one up a little bit. So we don't want it to accidentally just slip off her head easily. At the same time, we don't want it to choke her when we do apply pressure. Right? We just want it to give a slight squeeze and some pressure when we need it to help with communicating through the leash with her. But then we want it to be nice and loose when she's doing the right thing, just like we talked about with the loose leash pressure walking, right? So, right? So very loose, about 3 or 4 fingers loose, and then at the tightest part, can barely get my 2 fingers in. That's kind of perfect there. Okay. We'll need to readjust it, we will, but the reason why this can be more effective, like I said, for some pups, is just the fact that it's higher up on the head, right? And that will help with giving us leverage and pulling up as opposed to just pulling on her whole body. And then one step past this would be like the head halter that you like to use for larger dogs, because then it makes it hard for them to pull against it too, because then they're pulling against their own muzzle. Whereas here, it's still just more like a regular collar or a leash, right? But we have a little bit more leeway here. So we're gonna go ahead and give this a try. We'll start off with loose leash walking and some applied pressure here. Yes, good girl. And we're going to reward her for redirecting like she did the other day. Good. So she's going to start walking. I'm going to pull. Yes, Good. Okay. And we just need enough pressure to make an impact, okay? Doesn't mean that we want to hurt her or anything like that. We just need to be able to get her attention easily, right? And so we're going to try to condition this for a bit. Good girl. This way. Because Murph here seems to have maybe had a rough past, and we don't want to make the training process, a tough thing for her to go through also. We want it to be nice and rewarding for her to learn what she needs to do, right, for her parents. Okay. So once again, leash is nice and loose. I'm gonna go ahead and turn. Yes, good girl. That's all we're looking for. Okay. We're looking for her to redirect her focus back onto us when we pull. And I'm gonna also add in the turns. Because like I said, hopefully later on today, we're gonna be working with her in social situations, and that'll be the easiest way to help her to de-escalate is by turning away from whatever it is that she is excited for, getting her to refocus back onto us to calm down, and then back again. Okay, so we want to practice a good bit of exposure today and a good bit of just redirection, and we're going to definitely need to during that time practice good leash manners too. So nice and loose, and then tight. Yes, good girl. Comes back for a treat. And every pup is going to be different. I think a big part of it too is what they're used to pulling through. Like a lot of pups that are used to pulling through on their flat collar might not be as sensitive to this. And then if she's used to pulling through her harness, she might be more sensitive to this because it's just something new and different. What helped with the compression harness before was maybe just the fact that it was squeezing her in, right? And the reason why we're switching out for this one is because even squeezing her in and pulling up, I'd have to do it pretty hard to get her nose off the ground and her attention back onto us. So we're gonna walk back through that same area. We'll see if we can get a little bit more impact with less effort. That'll be the thing to help her parents out, is to be able to kind of get her to do what she what they need her to do with as little effort as possible. Okay. So right now her nose is on the ground, the leash is nice and loose. I'm going to go ahead and turn here in a second. You can see if it'll be more or less effective. And when I turn, I'm going to also want to pull up and then rotate in towards me. And this will be easier too once we are on the traffic handle or in a heel. But for now, we'll start off wide. Okay, so up and turn. Good. So a little bit more resistance there, right? Now back and turn. Yes, good girl. Good girl. And then back loose again. Let her get distracted by her nose. Okay. And then back and turn. Back and turn. And back and turn. And up. Yes, good girl. There we go. That up part is going to be the important part, because so long as you're just pulling and her nose is still on the ground, it's a lot easier for her to ignore it. So you have to pull up at the same time as you're moving to help her get through it. And then back. Yes, good girl. You see here, it's not as responsive as before, but that's just because she's more into her nose. But the fact is, it was a lot easier than trying to get her attention with the compression harness. And we're back to loose. I don't know if you guys can see that. Okay. So same walking theories that we've been working with. You know, we want the leash nice and loose, let her know that she can smell, and then we want her to redirect and follow us or refocus when the leash is when there's tension on the leash. And turning. Yes, good girl. And here we go. I can also more easily pull her away from her sense just by guiding her on where we want to go, right? Because if she stops to smell and I keep going, that pressure is going to happen, and I'm going to raise up at the same time. Yes, good girl. Good. And I'm just having her follow me for a little bit while longer before the treat. Okay. What we're going to do is a little bit of micromanagement now with the closer heel walking. And you'll see what I mean about kind of keeping her nose up off the ground to help with her distractions. Right, so it's nice and loose here. If she dips down, right, we pull up a little bit, then back to loose, up, and then back to loose. It's getting there. All right, and then back up. Good girl. Now up and turn. Yes, good girl. It's going to be a very hard exercise for her unless we're going to be constantly micromanaging her and pulling up. Good girl. Because her nose is going to make her constantly want to dip down. And a good way that you can help with making that consistent is just keeping your hand and arm relatively the same space. And so that way when she pulls down, the leash will naturally get a little bit tighter and you only have to pull up a little bit. And it's important that once we do that, it's nice and relaxed and loose again, right? So it's just very momentary pressure. We don't want to drag her along, but at the same time, we need her to not drag us along with her nose. Okay. Here, I'm going to go ahead, give her some more leash and keep walking. There we go. And we're back to a loose leash practice. Okay, once again, I'm going to keep walking, right? And then back to loose. So now she's learning that she can smell, but she has to continue walking once there's pressure on the leash, as well as when there's pressure on the leash to turn, pay attention. Go ahead and fix this. So here, if I want her to get going with me, I'm just going to keep walking. And that pressure on the leash is going to just continue to build, right? And the only way for her to release that pressure is to get off of her nose and follow us. Well, this is where the walk becomes a little bit of a compromise. So it depends on how much free time that you have, because of course she will be happy to be out here all day smelling everything possible. And unfortunately, we always have quite the agenda and full list of things to do. Good girl, good weight. Thank you. And then just back to loose leash walking. Yes, good girl. You can see the leash is slipped down a little bit from the top of her neck. And that's just because the loose part of the leash is a little bit too loose, right? But that's okay for now. When we do formal heel work or walking, when we're holding the leash closer and pulling up, it'll naturally slide it back into place anyways. Yes, good girl. You can make the impact more jarring by doing things more suddenly, or you can do smoother impact as well and get her used to when the leash starts tightening by doing things a little bit more slowly. Yes, good girl. Right. I'm going to say with her, we want to try to be as gentle as possible. At the same time, to get her attention when she's going to be really excited and focused on something, we're going to need to be able to make enough of an impact. So we're going to need to try to find a good balance between the two and then condition her to the leash response. So that way it's more second nature for her to feel it and then turn right away. And that's all we're doing right now is just doing some positive conditioning for the behavior. Oh, there's a squirrel. Hey, Hunter. She does not even notice. I'll try to walk over there to see how she'll do. Oh, there's two squirrels. No? Two squirrels? No? Maybe once they start moving and get her attention? No? Okay. Well, not nearly as excited about squirrels as most pups. That's fine. It was worth a try. Hopefully we'll run into some people or some pups as well. But if not, we'll be going to a place later on where there's definitely going to be people and dogs. So we'll just practice for now. Wanted to take a day and just switching it up, trying to find an exercise where she won't bark, just to give her vocal cords and everything a rest. Luckily, we still have other things to work on too, like the recall is pretty good. The stay part is still definitely going to need a bit of work and development. And then the counter surfing and leaving it is going to kind of go hand in hand anyways. But at least we'll be able to practice her redirecting with food and high value items. Yeah. Go ahead and continue on walking. Good girl. Yes, good girl. So what I'm going to do next time that I have to pull and have her catch up is either put her in a heel or drop some food next to me where her nose is going to be. She definitely completely ignored that too. All right, let's try again. Silly. All right. Means she's definitely focused on a trail or something else that she wasn't able to pick up on something. There we go. Good girl. Make it easy at first by going backwards. Now we'll do it again going forwards. Yes, good girl. Do that just to switch it up because her nose is already on the ground. Gives her something to reward herself with, catching back up. Now I'm just gonna stand still. Yes, good girl. Have her come to me for the treat. Go. It's very easy to get kind of caught up doing the same thing. But we want to try to condition her in as many different little variances as possible, because her parents might not do the same exact thing what we do every time. So it'll be important to work with them, see what they like to do consistently, and then go from there to make it easier. So once again, yes, good girl. Now this time I'm gonna have her heel with me. Murph, heel. Good heel. Yes. Good heel. Good girl. Good heel. There you go. Good job. All right, free. Once again, she's doing well with the loose leash exercise. Practicing redirecting. Good girl. I'm gonna go ahead, do one more, and then we'll pause to save more of the video for later on when we have her social environment, testing through that. Yes. Murph, heel. Good girl. Murph, heel. Yes, good. There you go. Come here. Good girl. Up here. Heel. Yes, good girl. Good focus. Yes. Good job. Okay, free. All right. So we're out with Miss Murph. Gonna practice some of her walking in a social setting to see if we need to redirect her when she starts barking at either people or pups. Also went and got her a few more treats to see if she'll like them. So we'll start here. Yes, good girl. Oh, what do you think? All right, good girl. That was good. Gonna warm her up with just the leash redirection that we were working on earlier today. Oh. Uh-huh. We'll see if she does better when there's just more than one person in a crowd, or if it's just one person that's walking towards her that maybe triggers her barking or her anxiety. And then we'll also be working around the pet store too in case we see any pups from a distance. Wanted to start off slow, so it's still a time when most people will be at work, but the shopping center always seems to have at least some people around it. The sliding door. Okay. Murph. Yes, good girl. Sit. Very good. Good girl. See if she likes this one. Good girl. Yeah. All right. So right now I just have her on the slip lead still and trying to do our best to keep up with her. So that way it's loose for most of the walk, and then we can trigger it when we need to. Especially since she tends to bark at people, I do want her to get distracted by her nose while out in public. Just want to be sure that we keep an eye on things like that might be on the floor and such. Hi. Yeah. We'll see if she notices this gentleman here. Good girl. Yeah. Seems to be okay so far with everybody around. Good. Good girl. So it's good that she's interested in smelling people. We usually don't want her to just engage on her own though. We want to kind of get her in the good habit of checking in with us first, and then we release her to smell people, just in case those people are afraid of dogs or don't like dogs or possibly even allergic. So it was good to see that she wasn't barking or overreacting, and she was just curious though. And the doorway seemed to jump startle her. Okay. I'm going to do a combination of leash pressure and her name, and then we'll alternate to just one or the other. Murph. Murph. Yes, good girl. Sit. Good sit. Good girl. Yeah. What's wrong with your paw, huh? You step on something? It's going easy on her front right paw here. Looks like maybe something here. It's hard to tell. Take a look at it back at home. Doesn't seem to be bothering her too much, but she does seem to be taking it easy on that one. All right. Do some leash pressure here around the pole. Good. Make sure she doesn't go out. Yes, good girl. Make sure she doesn't go out onto the street. So especially at first, since we want her to get used to being out in public and seeing people, I'm gonna do less leash work while we're out doing social work. And then as she gets better, we'll kind of integrate more and more of it in, especially when we start to work in tighter indoor spaces or in more crowded areas. Then we'll practice more of the heel. But for now, it's just, yes, good girl. Just using the leash as that boundary and getting her to redirect when there's hard tension on the line. Okay. Yes, good girl. Murph. Yes, good girl. Good. So she was definitely a little bit interested in that person and started making a little bit of noise. Don't know if the microphone was picking that up, so we just redirected her early. It's just good redirection practice while getting her used to people in an environment. And I'll walk back down to the pet store, just in case anybody brings their pups around too. Yes, good girl. Sit. Good sit. Good girl. This is another good way that you can get her good practices if you find a very high traffic area, and then just have her paying attention and calm and composed to you while people are passing. Excuse me. Yes, good girl. Very good. Good girl. Yes, good girl. So she's doing well there. Yeah. Checking people out and then redirecting her attention back. Because I want her to see people and be interested. I just don't want her to overreact and start barking. And she did cry a little bit, but that's probably just because she wants to meet them, which is okay. And when we're out, we want to also just be very careful that she's not getting into anything that she shouldn't be. You want to be very careful of the floor area, just because she is a pup. I do like to pick up random foods and things that are on the ground that could be really bad for them. Yes, good girl. Just gonna hang out here in front of the pet store for a little bit. See if any pups come in or out. Just doing a good job so far of loose leash walking. Good girl. What, huh? Good girl. Now we can get into the good habit of having her sit as she's refocused and is calming down. But for now, as well, so long as she just refocuses and doesn't bark at anybody, then that's going to be good enough. Girl. Huh? What? What? Huh? Sit. Good girl. Huh? Just a couple cars that pulled into the pet store parking lot here, so we're gonna see if they have any pups with us before we start walking around again. Just practice a little bit more of the leash redirecting. It's good to start off slow and then work our way into busier, more crowded areas as well. Because if it's too busy for her and she doesn't have the basics down of what we'd like her to do, then it's really hard for her to focus on the lesson, right? Especially with redirecting. And if she's too hyped up from the pups and people, there's one there. Good girl. Hey, Murph. There's one there. Murph. 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 So here, because I can't pull her off, there we go. Yes, good. And start walking the other way to help really pull her attention away from it. That was good though. Yes, good girl. So she was just crying a little bit. We just needed to help her out. But I want her to actually get used to seeing other dogs too, right? So there's another one coming in. We'll wait here again. Good girl. Yes. Sit. Good. I want her to check out the other dog. Perfect. Murph. Yes. And then get her attention back. Very good. Good girl. Little Yorkie. And this is how we start desensitizing her. We want her to get used to seeing other dogs and being able to refocus back to us without overreacting for a reward. Eventually, I'd like her to do it on her own, but of course, it's understandable right now that she kind of needs additional help from us, either with the leash pressure or her name or putting the treat in front of her nose to get her attention back in. Yeah, she's a good girl. And the good thing is, once you're at the pet store, unless they're dropping off their dog for grooming or anything like that, you usually get one more round of them to redirect her as they come back out of the store too. Do you like that treat, huh? Oh yeah. So she definitely knows and definitely wants the treat in my hand, which is good to see. Oh, good girl. So it's good. It's helpful for sure to have something that she enjoys, and she'll actually pull away her attention from other dogs for her, which is really important. Because if we didn't have anything of value, then we would have to just use the leash pressure and her name, and we can use pets and praise to help her feel rewarded too. Oh, good girl. There you go. Go ahead and walk around a little bit. Definitely like looking around. It's one of those times when we want to make sure she doesn't get into anything disgusting or step on stuff that people didn't pick up. Gonna use some leash pressure here to redirect her this way around the cone. There you go. Okay, same thing here. I'm just gonna start going this way. Good girl. She's using the pillar to turn around and force her attention as she refocuses because of the pressure on the leash. And then we release again. She's doing really well so far. Got a couple more cars pulling into the parking lot, so I'm just gonna wait here to see if they have any pups, and then we'll walk around again. I also don't want to go too far in case the Yorkie and their parents come back out. She's doing well though, just hanging out.
Hey sir, how are you doing?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good. Quick question for you.
Yeah, shoot.
Want to come to church with us on Sunday?
Oh, no, thank you. I appreciate the offer though.
Totally. So did you just get this dog?
Huh? Oh no, we're working on her.
Okay.
Because a little bit anxious around people and other pups.
Oh, that, wait, so do you work at Pestmore?
Oh no, we shop here a lot though.
Gotcha. Hey, you have a good day, sir.
Thanks, you too. Good girl. Murph. Murph. Yes, good girl. Yeah, thanks. Good girl. Yes, good. There you go. So just practicing her redirecting when she's focused on anything, you know, it could just, oh, there's 3 dogs. Good girl. Murph. Yes. Very good. Good girl. That's quite the little pack. Oh, there's 4. There's 4 dogs, Murph. What do you think about that, huh? What do you think? Good girl. Good girl. There you go. Good job. It's a cute little pack there. What do you think, huh? Good girl. She's doing really good there. She definitely saw them. It's funny, I guess waiting for the Yorkie, somebody was either picking up all their other little pups from the groomers or the vet came out. Definitely didn't see them go in. Good girl. Slower days and times like this is really good to be able to kind of ease her into the practice and not completely overwhelm her. Because if there's too many, then what could end up happening is she gets so excited and worked up and not enough time to calm down between the next instance, and that kind of carries into the next pup. So it could be harder to get her to either calm down or remain calm. Oh, good girl. Yes, good. Your leg's tangled up. But at the same time, as she gets better, we want to expose her to more and more pups. So that way she continues to kind of get practice seeing and being around them and then redirecting. So places like the dog park, or even at the pet stores, sometimes on weekends there's those adoption events where they'll have a bunch of pups inside and kittens as well, looking for new families. And that could be a good opportunity for her too, because it's going to be an area where we know they're going to be, and so we can kind of move her in or around that area to practice. Good girl. And same with the dog park too. The dog park even more so, because they'll have lots of dogs running around, and you'll usually have kind of like what we're doing here with the store entrance. You'll have some pups coming and going and walking through, that we can kind of put her off to the side like we are here, and get her to redirect from a distance, and then as she does better, get closer and closer, and then maybe go into the dog park for some play. Good girl. Go ahead and walk a little bit more. There we go. Good girl. Just using a little bit of that leash pressure to keep her out of the road. Nose is hard at work over here. She heard the squeaky toy. Okay. And now, just like with the practice earlier, because we want her to kind of get going through that door entrance, and just continue walking, and the leash pressure will do the work for us. Good girl, there you go. Doing some soft directional pressure there. Good girl. Do a little bit of her heel practice. Good girl. Yes, good girl, this way. Very good, there you go. Good job. Yes, good girl, there you go. Good girl. Yes, good. Very loud car. Just keeping the leash nice and loose off to the side, and then when she starts to over accelerate, I'm just going to help to redirect her by turning. Good girl. Nice and loose. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn her the other way. So I'm going to hold the leash still, rotate around. There we go. Good girl. Good girl. Yeah. So we got a couple more cars pulling into the parking lot here. We'll see if any of them have any pups, and then we'll probably give her a little bit of a break. Got another session she can join in on later on too for some good walking practice.
Cutie.
Thank you.
Can I pet him?
Yeah, you can say hi. Good girl. Oh,
Sorry.
that's okay.
No? You must smell my chief all over me. Huh?
Oh,
You
good
smell
girl.
Chief?
She likes cheese, so.
My dog Chief.
Oh, Chief.
Yeah, he's a 65-pound English pointer.
Oh, pretty. Thank
Have
you.
a nice day.
You too. Good girl. So she was a little stiff there, but not too bad. May explain sometimes too why she barks sometimes at some people, but not others. Just maybe a little bit more apprehensive in certain situations. Okay. Go ahead and use the leash here. Get her back in towards me. Good girl. Yes, good girl. Good heel. Yes, good girl. Okay. Oh, there's another pup too. That cute little one. What do you think, huh? They're carrying that one, so I don't know if she sees him or not. It doesn't seem like it. Oh, there we go. So they're putting the pup down. And now they're running off. Luckily, they're okay. Look, see the pup? Look, come on, go look at the pup. Now we have her too focused on me. There we go. Good girl. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Good girl. There you go. Good job. A little bit of a reaction there at the very end. Not bad though. Good girl. You're very good today. Being a good girl. I'm guessing the Yorkie that went in earlier is here for a vet appointment or a grooming appointment because I never saw them come back out. And that's okay. Got to see a bunch of other pups that came out and got to work with her on that. That was a good session overall. Good girl. Good girl. Yes. There you go. Good job. Good job. Yeah, we'll go ahead, give her a little bit of a break, get some water, and we'll do this. Do this again before my next session. We'll recharge the camera. Good girl. Wait, Murph. Yes, good listen. Got a bunch of cars coming. Good girl.